It's now time for business. Good afternoon and thanks for staying with us on Midday Live. My name is Nana Ikia Mensa Brampa. Well, what we feared most has come up again. Is Ghana getting closer to that mark of becoming a highly indebted poor country? Well, that is the reports coming from the IMF, but we'll be delving more to see exactly if this is true, what the implications would be. Well, we understand Ghana is slowly getting closer to the mark of becoming a highly indebted poor country. And according to the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, Ghana's total public debt could hit the dreaded 70% mark by the end of this year. Now, if this prediction by IMF's fiscal monitor released at the ongoing IMF World Bank spring meetings in Washington, D.C. comes to pass, then it will be official that Ghana is highly indebted poor country. According to the United Nations and the World Bank, anytime a country's public debt hits or crosses the 70% of its gross domestic product, then the country can be described as highly indebted. Now, this means it could be difficult for that country to settle its debts on time. And according to the Bank of Ghana, as at the end of December 2014, Ghana's public debt stood at 76 billion Ghana cedis, representing about 67% of Ghana's GDP. It means just some 3% to hit that 70% mark. In an assessment of loans approved by Ghana's legislature since January 2015 points to the likelihood that the country's debt stock could cross the 70% mark before the end of 2015. Exactly what this means to us, well, we will be shortly joined by Head of Finance of the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Godfrey Bokpin, to give us detail of this particular report. Good afternoon to you, and thanks for joining us, Doc.
Yes, good afternoon, and then good afternoon to your cherished viewers.
Right. Now, Ghana going HIPIC by 2015, does this come as any surprise at all?
Not at all.
Reasons?
Not at all. The rate at which we are going with our borrowing, and then also the fact that the economy in terms of GDP is not doing well, I am not surprised at all.
Okay. Now let's look at us being classified as a high risk of debt country by the IMF. What are the consequences for us as a country? What are we looking at now?
Yeah, so it means that if you decide to go and borrow after this report and other reports from the risk, then
hello, Doc.
Will be very high.
We didn't. Hello.
Access capital, but you pay a price for coming onto the market in such a manner that with the fundamentals that you have, and essentially because what investors are looking at is just risk, and then they want to be appropriately compensated for that level of risk. So it's not good news for us. It's not good news for us because the fundamentals do not look good, and also because of the energy crisis and other challenges inherent in the economy. It doesn't look like we have the generating capacity to actually service those public debts and also repay the principal. So that is where the issue is. In principle, in finance, there's nothing wrong with borrowing.
Okay.
And 70% per se, it doesn't suggest that it is just particularly too bad. You have to look at the 70% relation to the fundamentals of the economy. But some countries could do more than 70%, and it will not be a problem. But when we look at the fundamentals of the economy, the generating capacity of the economy relative to the public debt, then there is an issue in terms of debt sustainability and then debt affordability. That is where the issue is. The 70 per se doesn't say, but when you look at it in relative terms, okay, relative to maybe the economy, okay, then there's an issue, and that is where I think that yes.
Okay, Dr. Bokpin. I would want you to hold on to that thought there. Hello, Dr. Bokpin.
A challenge.
Hello?
Yes.
Dr. Bokpin, I would want you to hold on to that thought there. I have the Deputy Minister of Finance, Mona Quartey, on the line to also tell us why she would rule that out. You saying that, well, it doesn't come as a surprise, Ghana being declared as getting closer to HIPIC. We have the Deputy Minister. Good afternoon to you, madam, and thanks for joining us on Midday Live.
Good afternoon, and hello to your cherished listeners.
Right, thank you. Now, why would you rule out the possibility of Ghana going HIPC?
Oh, that's a direct question, eh?
Yes, because I know you. I have been following you this morning, and that is what I am gathering. That is why I'm giving you that direct question.
Oh, wow. Well, at the end of December 2014, you all know what our debt level was. It was 67% and a bit of GDP, percent of GDP. And that is close to 70%, but it doesn't mean that we will necessarily hit 70%. The efforts that we are making with our new debt management strategy is to ensure that we don't hit 70% level. So we are monitoring that level very closely. The new debt management strategy basically says that for any new borrowings, they must be either commercially viable so that the cash flows from those projects can repay the debt, or if there is a need for any viability gap funding, we will look at that and discuss with the IMF and our development partners and tackle it. So we are making sure, we are keeping an eagle's eye on that debt level to make sure that it does not hit 70%. Whilst we are keeping an eye on our debt level, we are also working to improve our GDP level. That GDP level is not fixed. It's a moving target, and we're working to improve our GDP. So it is possible that we could even bring our debt to GDP percentage down.
Well, following your comments also in other media, I'm sure that you have raised concern IMF bailout coming on board would be some sort of relief for the economy. But let's look at the image of a country. How does this affect our image to the outside world, having been predicted as being a highly indebted poor country with about 3% to hit that mark?
First and foremost, Ghana, as we all know, is a lower middle income country now. After the 2010 rebasing of our GDP, we became a lower middle income country, and we've needed to upgrade our infrastructure, which you and I are all enjoying today. Also, we've had to borrow to be able to do this. Now, becoming a lower middle income country meant that we couldn't get as much concessional funding as we would have liked from our development partners. So we've had to borrow on a commercial basis to fill the infrastructure gap. We've been able to do that, of course, therefore we've increased our debt stock. But now with the IMF program, the Extended Credit Facility Program, which is a 3-year program, and I would appreciate if we didn't call it a bailout. It's an assistance. So that facility now allows us to get a higher level of credibility for what we are doing to repair the economy and to stabilize the economy, and let the development partners support us on our budget so that we can deliver more infrastructure without burdening our balance sheet. So it's good. I think that the international world is happy that we've gone into the program, and also our investors are happy to know that we are in an extended credit facility program, which ensures that we keep to fiscal prudence and make sure that the economy is stabilized.
Why, thank you for your time, Madam Mona Korte, Deputy Finance Minister, disagreeing that Ghana would hit HIPC, even though it doesn't come as a surprise for the economy. So we'll be following up on more issues and giving you more detail, but that would do for the business